out-of-body experience.
Welcome to the Brothers of Wrestling podcast.
Welcome back to the Brothers Wrestling Podcast with your host, Logan and
Hayden.
And today we bring you another episode of the Super Card of Wrestling Bracket Madness. Today we are tackling the old school region. It's going to be difficult, probably is a little bit more difficult than the WrestleMania one. So, Hayden, let's break down some of these matchups.
Okay, so looking at these matchups, let's see here. Looks like we're going to have 116 of 83 Starrcade versus 92 Beach Blast.
Okay.
We're going to have 8-9 of 85 Starrcade, 89 Great American Bash. Then we're going to have 512 of 1997 Barely Legal and 1984 Starrcade as the 12 seed. 413's 89 Chi-Town Rumble, 89 Halloween Havoc. Where am I here? 11 matchup is 84 Von Erich Memorial versus the 96 Bash at the Beach. 3 is the 94 Super J Cup. And the 1994 Spring Stampede is 14. We've got the AWA Super Clash at 7 and the 92 Wrestle War at 10. And the final one is the 1980 Showdown Shea as the 2 seed versus 92 Super Brawl.
And the thing that makes this a little bit more difficult than the WrestleMania region is because these are different events with totally different cards. They're harder to compare other than just WrestleMania on WrestleMania.
Yeah, WrestleMania, it's all kind of got a basic underlying theme to it. So that's what made that so much easier. Because you had the underlying theme where you're comparing apples to apples, pretty much. These are going to be a little harder to do with it being totally different era. You know, I mean, it's still old school. They all fit in the same era, but
it's
you
different
got something
styles of cards.
Exactly, and you got stuff like Super Cup, J Super Cup, and Barely Legal 97. You know, all that kind of stuff where it's a smorgasbord.
Smorgasbord.
That's why I said smorgasbord.
All right, so what's the first region or first matchup you want to take on?
So I guess we'll just start at the top here, and we'll do the 116 matchup.
Okay.
You got the 1 seed is the very first ever big time pay-per-view, in quotes, pay-per-view, super card in the 1983 Starrcade, going up against 1992 Beach Blast.
And as much as we fought for Beach Blast to be in here, I mean, we put that as number 1 for a reason. So, unlike the real NCAA tournament where 16 sometimes can win, I don't think it's going to happen in this one.
Well, yeah, so 83 Starrcade, you got your Flair for the gold going up against Harley Race. And then you've got the dog collar match between Piper and Greg Valentine. So those two they're solid.
Mm-hmm.
At the 92 Beach Blast, it was kind of based around the Iron Man Challenge, which was Ricky Steamboat versus Rick Rude. And then you also had the Dangerous Alliance against Dustin Rhodes, Barry Windham, and Nikita Koloff. Your main event was for the WCW World Tag Titles. The Steiner Brothers and Terry Gordy and Steve Williams went to a time limit draw.
That's a pretty good card.
Greg
but
Valentine. Yeah, it's good. Buff Bagwell, Greg Valentine, Ron Simmons beat Terry Taylor.
I don't know if it surpasses the number 1 seed.
No. It really only is remembered for the Iron Man Challenge. So I think we know that it's going to be 83 Starrcade.
Yep, it's going to be tough to beat the Flair for the gold.
Yeah, Flair for the gold, I mean, it really started big time events in general. So, okay, now. And then we have, so then the next matchup, we're going to have our 8-9 matchup. We have 85 Starcade versus 89 Great American Bash.
Okay.
So, hold on a second. So at 85 Starcade, it's built around Flair Dusty. That's your main event
That's a
for the
classic.
NWA World Championship. You got an Atlanta Street Fight, Jimmy Valiant and Miss Atlanta Lively versus Midnight Express. You've got Minnesota Wrecking Crew versus Billy Jack Haynes and Wahoo McDaniel. um, you also had Rock and Roll Express taking on the Kolofs in a steel cage match for the titles. But what everyone remembers from this Starcade, especially, is the I Quit steel cage match between Tully Blanchard and Magnum TA.
Iconic. Okay.
One of your most famous steel cage matches ever. So that's the big one that's on here.
That's probably going to help it move forward.
So that's kind of the quintessential part of that one. And then we have um, 1989 Great American Bash, which is your main event of that one is the big time match between Ric Flair and Terry Funk. One of the things that set that up was Funk putting Flair through a table.
Nice.
That was like the first time somebody got put through a table
Oh,
ever in wrestling.
that's pretty cool.
You had a War Games match between the Road Warriors, the Midnight Express, and Steve Williams versus the Fabulous Moolas. I'm losing my mind. Fabulous Freebirds and the Samoan SWAT team. Samu and Fatu.
With Paulie Dangerously?
And Paulie Dangerously was there. Yep.
I bet
You
those.
also had the U.S. title. Oh,
I
sorry.
was just going to say, I bet those people were freaking out when Flair went through that table.
Oh, yeah. U.S. title Luger versus Steamboat. You had Sting defend the TV title against the Great Muta. Those guys a decent card. You had tuxedo match Cornette versus Paulie.
Nice.
So that was on there. Double Battle Royal. Brian Pillman versus Bill Irwin.
That's a pretty good card.
So it's
But
got a
is
lot of
it,
potential.
does the Flair Funk thing, does that outweigh
It's a good match.
Flair Dusty?
I would say Flair Funk outweighs Flair Dusty
Interesting. Okay.
at the 85 one at least.
Flair Dusty's iconic.
So, but we also have 84 Starcade on here, which has the first Flair Dusty,
Oh, okay.
the $1 million challenge, too. And that was really
And we
good.
can probably
So,
only have one Flair Dusty, right?
yeah, now this one's higher up because it's got a better card than the 84
Yeah.
Starcade. So, but this Great American Bash is pretty good.
Yeah.
If we're talking main events, I'd put Flair Funk over Flair Dusty
Okay. I'm with you on that.
in that match. Not in terms of rivalries, but in terms of that singular
Yeah,
match.
on that card. Yeah.
The Flair Funk match from Great American Bash is a great match.
Okay.
Plus, you got a War Games match you're putting on there.
Are we
Um,
saying we got a little first upset?
hmm, could be because you really don't have a ton after the main event and the steel cage match. Well, the steel cage, I mean, between Rock and Roll Express and the Koloffs was
Yeah.
a big match on that card.
All right. I'm okay with a
So
9
you
going
have
over
that
an
on
8.
there. Yeah, I think the Bash just had a stronger card. I think compared to that Starcade. Okay, so then we move on to the 512 matchup. That's where you get your um, number 5 seed is a 1997 Barely Legal.
That's a good card.
And then the 12 seed is the aforementioned um, 1984 Starcade.
Oh, with the first Flair Dusty.
So this is where that one's at.
I feel like 97 barely legal. for the significance alone, needs to be going ahead here.
Yeah, it was the first ever ECW pay per view. It was the kind of the event that kept them going for
Yeah, they rode
a
that for a
lot
while.
longer. um, you also
Is that when
on the '84 Starcade. I'm sorry.
on the barely legal? When does Shane
Mhm.
Douglas get rid of the title that he has and takes the ECW title?
Oh, that's a couple. That's years
Oh,
before
okay,
that.
okay.
Yeah, that's more at the beginning of ECW. This
Oh,
like just because this is the first pay per view doesn't mean it's at the beginning.
okay, okay, okay.
Like ECW starts in '93. This is '97.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
this is just when they finally were able to get a pay per view
Okay,
deal.
okay.
Because you got Terry Funk winning the ECW title from Raven because he won a triple threat number one contender match.
Nice.
So, um, and then you had the three-way dance number one contender match, which Funk won to face Raven, Sandman, and Stevie Richards. But then the big match on here that was hyped up was Taz Sabu.
Oh yeah,
That was your huge rivalry coming
yeah.
into
Because Taz
this.
was the big deal back then.
Mm-hmm. So, and then '84 Starcade. Um, you had your Flair Dusty match with Joe Frazier as the special guest referee.
Joe Frazier. Okay.
Oh yeah, smoking Joe Frazier. Yeah, U.S. Championship, Wahoo McDaniel versus Superstar Billy Graham. Uh, Blanchard versus Steamboat. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking barely legal, probably.
Yeah, that's probably where I would lean to.
It's got too much significance to not move on at least one round.
Hmm. The significance is big. Um, the matches are big. You're getting Terry Funk going over, so that was big at the time. So, okay, so we move on the 5 seed. Uh, Bare Legal, 97. Next up is the 413 matchup. We've got the Chi Town Rumble, 1989, taking on the 1989 Halloween Havoc.
If I remember right, I'm pretty sure I
It was
liked
the
the Chi-Town
same
Rumble
year.
when you were telling the cards originally.
Yeah. So Halloween Havoc, you've got the Thunderdome match between Flair and Sting versus Funk and Muda. You have well, uh, the Road Warriors versus the Skyscrapers. Luger versus Brian Pillman for the U.S. title. Doom versus the Steiner Brothers. And then your Chi-Town Rumble is famous for the main event, which was Steamboat defeating Flair for the NWA World Championship
Nice.
in one of their better matches. Road Warriors defend the titles against the Varsity Club, Kevin Sullivan and Steve Williams. Barry Windham versus Lex Luger for the U.S. title. Rick Steiner versus Rotundo for the NWA title. Um, what else is on here? Loser of the Fall lose NWA match. Midnight Express versus the original Midnight Express. Sting versus Butch Reed. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're in the same year. It's kind of hard.
Hmm.
I definitely think the Chi-Town Rumble uh, has the better main event.
Yeah, that's where I was leaning to anyway.
Halloween Havoc, I like the concept of it, but it really just doesn't really have much on it besides the Thunderdome match,
Hmm.
which was always kind of iffy anyway. I wasn't a big fan of Thunderdome matches. So.
Yeah, I was kind of leaning Chi-Town Rumble anyway.
Okay, so Chi-Town Rumble. Okay, now sixth seed is the 1984 Von Erich Memorial Parade
Oof.
of Champions,
I remember this card being
going
really
up
good.
against the 11th seed, the 96 uh, Bash at the Beach. So if we're talking significance, they both have a decent play on significance because you got uh, the Memorial, where in the main event, Kerry Von Erich won the match and ended up going up and winning the NWA title from Ric Flair.
That's pretty
So that
significant.
was big at the time. And then you had the Von Erichs winning the WCCW six-man tag
Yeah, I was gonna say,
championship
didn't you say the
from,
dad teamed up with him?
yeah, the Famous Rumors.
That's pretty hard to beat.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty good card, but then we go to 1996 Bash at the Beach, and we all know the significance of that one.
That's Hogan
It
third
kind of,
man.
yeah, it turned the tables on what wrestling would become with the Attitude Era and
That's
everything.
pretty tough.
So you have that.
I don't really know what else I don't remember
Um,
what else that card has other than Hogan's the third
I
man.
mean, it had some decent matches, nothing crazy. You opened the show with Rey Mysterio versus Psychosis.
Oh, nice.
You had tape fist match between DDP and Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
A what match?
Uh, tape fist match.
A taped fist match. Okay.
You know, you had a double dog collar match between
Nice.
the Nasty Boys and Public Enemy. Any thoughts?
Um,
Giant Taskmaster versus Arn and Chris Benoit.
I'm kind of thinking that the memorial goes over. I I don't know if the bash can carry all the way just by Hogan's the third man. It's a significant moment,
Hmm.
but the thing that was significant, the reason why 97 Barely Legal goes through is because the rest of the card is pretty decent and it has the significance added onto it. But this, it has the significance, but I don't know if the rest of the
Hmm.
card holds up past the memorial. So I'm kind of leaning towards them.
The Memorial.
Yeah, but it's up if
Yeah,
you
I
if
probably
you think
agree with
the
you.
bash.
I agree with you.
Okay.
Because the match, I mean, besides the main event, there's not a ton that's going on. Okay, so now we move on to 3 versus 14. The Super J Cup goes up against Spring Stampede 1994.
I think this might be a clear one. I remember that J Cup being
Yeah,
amazing when you were talking about it.
yeah, all the different guys in it. You got Benoit in it. You had Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko. Basically, any kind of guy that was the beginnings of the cruiserweight divisions everywhere in the
Yeah.
world was wrestling in the Super J Cup. Now, Spring Stampede '94 had the Steamboat Flair double pin match for the world title.
Oh.
It had Vader versus the Boss, which is Big Boss Man. It had the International Championship between Rick Rude and Sting. Stunning Steve Austin versus the Great Muta. So some decent stuff in
Yeah,
there.
that sounds good, but I don't know. That Super J Cup. I mean, we put it up there that high for a reason.
Yeah, you fell in love with it. So
I think I might have to move on.
yeah, I'll agree with that. Just because of the amount of talent that's on that card is insane. Okay, now we got the AWA Super Clash, the first one they did, going up against 1992 Wrestle
Wrestle what? Wrestle War?
Wrestle War.
All right.
War. So you had a Wrestle War. 92, you had a War Games match between Sting Squadron of Sting, Barry Windham, Dustin Rhodes, Ricky Steamboat, and Koloff against the Dangerous Alliance of Steve Austin, Rick Rude, Arn Anderson, Bobby Eaton, Larry Zbyszko.
I didn't realize how impactful Dustin Rose was back in the day.
He was in the main events. But really, that's about all that's on this card. Because
Okay.
everything else is pretty much trash. There's a few good matches on there.
What about the other one?
Super Clash. Super Clash. This happened in 1985. Your main event was Rick Martel versus Stan Hansen for the AWA. Flair fought Magnum TA for the NWA World Championship on this card. Uh, Road Warriors versus the Freebirds. Uh, Kerry Von Erich versus Jimmy Garvin.
The fact that you've already mentioned more matches than you mentioned on the other card probably means that this is going to go over.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely got a lot more quality just because it was a bunch of different things trying to come together, companies trying to come together to stop the WWF at the time from taking over. And the Wrestle War is mostly based on that War Games match.
And I bet
There's
it's a
not
pretty good
really a
War Games
ton.
match, but is it better than everything else on the other card?
No, probably the Super Clash was probably the safer bet for the 7-10 matchup.
All right.
And then we move on the 215 matchup. We have uh, number 2 is the 1980 Showdown Shay, and 15 is the 1992 Super Brawl 2.
I think Showdown and Shay, I remember that card being really good, so.
Yeah, Showdown Shay, you get Bruno versus Larry Zbyszko. Then you get Andre and Hogan before Hogan's Hogan. Um, Hogan told the story about how he would try to slam Andre in these matches, and Andre would always fight him on it.
Well,
That's why he was so nervous for the WrestleMania 3 match.
I'm pretty sure he slams him at
So,
Shay.
yeah, I think he does, but he made it difficult for him every time. So then when they were doing the WrestleMania 3 match, he didn't know if he was actually going to let him do it or not. So,
Well, and Andre, I think, was a little bit bigger at WrestleMania 3 than he
well, and
was at.
he couldn't move anymore
Yeah.
either. So, but then at Super Bowl 2, you're getting Sting Luger for the title, Rick Rude versus Steamboat US title, Anderson and Bobby Eaton versus Steiner Brothers. Uh, you had Jushin Thunder Liger versus Brian Pillman was the opener.
Oh, man.
Ron Simmons and Cactus Jack had a nice match. So yeah, it's got a decent card. Wyndham and Dustin Rose versus Stunning Steve and Larry Zbyszko because they were in the Dangerous Alliance. So it's decent. And then you got Showdown Shay, obviously, which doesn't have a lot on it. You had the tag titles with the Wild Samoans versus Backlund and Pedro Morales, who Backlund was the champ at the time. They like to do that a lot, don't they? So,
I don't know. I think. Hmm. I want to say that Showdown Shay moves on, but that other card's pretty good.
yeah. It's hard to say. It's
What's
pretty
the main event
decent.
again of the other match of the other card?
Super Brawl
Yeah,
is Sting Luger for the title.
Sting Luger. Okay.
So, Rude, Steamboat, Anderson, Eaton versus Rose.
What are you thinking?
I like the history of Showdown Shay,
Okay.
but I think Super Brawl probably has a better card, honestly.
All right.
with just the quality of matches it has on there.
So is the quality better than the significance?
That's a good question. That's what I'm not sure on. La Bamba.
Because I'll probably go with whatever you say, so whichever one you choose.
I probably just for the significance factor, I probably have to go Showdown Shay, honestly.
Okay.
Okay, so we ended up not having one.
No, we had the 9 over the 8.
Oh, that's right. The 9 did beat the 8 in that one.
Other than that, there
We
weren't.
had one
Yeah.
upset, which was barely an
Yeah.
upset.
They're pretty evenly matched. Yeah.
So we move back up to the top of the bracket on the region, and it's the 1 seeds. 1983 Starcade versus the 9 seed 89 Great American Bash.
Oof. I mean, it's
So you got
probably going to be
Flair
Starcade.
Funk, Flair for the gold. You have a War Games match. You have a dog collar match.
I think it's got to be.
Yeah,
It's got to.
that's a hard
It's
one.
probably got to be Starcade.
I agree with that. I think it doesn't have the match card, just like because back then they didn't have enough big time stars
Yeah.
to
So they
make the
really just
match
built the main
cards
event.
the whole way through. So you build everything around the main event, everything else is kind of just filler. But that was until Vince came around. So our next matchup is the 5 seed 97 Barry Legal versus the 4 seed 89 Chi-Town Rumble.
89 what?
Chi, yeah, Chi-Town Rumble.
You kind of trailed off there. I didn't understand what you were saying.
Chi-Town Rumble.
All right.
I thought I read the wrong one for a second. Scared me.
Uh.
Chi-Town Rumble. So that's your Flair Steamboat.
Yeah.
What else is on there again? There's so many different cards I gotta try to remember what goes where. Your tag match between the Varsity Club and Road Warriors, Wyndham versus Luger.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's mostly built around the main event.
Yeah. Is that better than
Flair
Funk versus
Steamboat.
Raven and Taz Sabu?
I mean, Taz and Boo's probably the best match out of any of these 2 cards. So I
Hmm.
think with Barry Legal being the first, that helps it too.
It does help it.
It's not just some random super card.
Yeah. That does help it.
So
Okay. I think Chi-Town Rumble had a good run, but
the 5 beats the 4 seed. Okay. Let's write this down. So the same thing happened on this side of the region that happened last seed. The 1's going to face the 5 seed. There and then. Okay. Next matchup is going to be a hard one.
no, no.
The 6 seed 84 Von Erich Memorial. The 3 seed Super J Cup.
Oh man. It had to happen
Two that
eventually.
you like.
It had to happen
Two that you've
eventually.
been really high on this whole time. Talking about the
Um,
old school ones.
the Memorial's pretty good. It's got some good
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and it's got the emotional factor with Kerry winning the title and stuff.
Yeah.
But the Super J Cup, if we're just talking pure wrestling,
It's definitely more your speed, that's for sure. And the amount of talent on there is just insane.
I hate to say it, but I'm kind of leaning Super J Cup.
Yeah, I think I'm going there too. I don't see how. I mean, you've really been around the 2 Von Erich matches. Other than that, there's not much
Yeah.
going on. So that Super J Cup just a nonstop wrestle fest. So okay, we'll go with that one. So okay, then we've got the 7 seed AW Super Clash taking on the 2 seed 1980 Showdown at Shea.
All right, we almost moved Shea or eliminated Shea in the first round. Is it able to
We
push through
did.
again?
we just talked about Showdown Shay. It's got obviously Hogan, Andre, Steel Cage. Now that Steel Cage match was the bitter feud because Zabisco had turned on Bruno, who was his mentor.
Yeah.
It wasn't just some random Steel Cage.
Uh-huh. So it's got a little bit of
And
history, a little bit of
then,
grit.
mm-hmm. And then your Super Clash had Rick Martel, Stan Hansen, double count out. Ric Flair versus Amanda TA was on the Super Clash card. That's a good match.
Usually, if
Uh,
Ric Flair's involved, it's going to be a good match.
yeah, for sure. Caravan Air versus Jimmy Garvin. Uh, Buddy Roberts fought Mil Mascaras.
Nice.
Uh, and Showdown Shane's really been around the three pillar matches.
Is that enough to take it
With that
past
one.
Super Clash, whatever?
And Super Clash, I mean, Super Clash was kind of the same thing. You have a few more variety on there, but
I'm kind of
mostly it's
leaning Shay.
the two main. Yeah, I think especially with the Hogan and Andre match being on there too, kind of gives it that extra little history that
I know
you
it's a
didn't.
high seed, but it kind of feels like an underdog run right now. It's
They're just
like
getting close to being
yeah,
eliminated all the
it's
time.
like they're getting beat in the first half and then they have to make a comeback in the second half each time.
So we're down to the final four. We did the exact same seeds as the
Oh, did
WrestleMania
we?
region. That's funny. So the one versus the five and the three versus the two.
Okay.
So we'll go 1-5 first. We got 1983 Starcade, Fight for Gold, up against 1997 Barely Legal.
Oh man, can the little underdog story do it? Can
Mm-hmm.
the little ECW brand do it? That's a tough one.
I would say that if I had to watch an entire pay per view through, I'd probably be more willing to watch 97
I
Barely
was just
Legal.
about to say I was the same thing. I was gonna agree with you.
But also, it's hard for me to judge that like that because, um, we were kind of in the late, we started watching that late end of the Attitude Era, uh, Ruthless Aggression era, and a lot of the ECW stuff kind of affects that.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
So ECW it makes it a little more enjoyable for me to watch ECW.
And a lot of those TNA guys came from ECW, so we were big into
And I
TNA
mean,
in
on
the
this card, you've got Funk, you got Raven, you got Steve Richards, you had the Taz Sabu match, which had all these matches on both these cards. Is probably right up there.
oh man, okay.
Probably right up there with Valentine and Piper.
Jeez. High praise for Taz Sabu.
Taz Sabu's a great match. So,
All right, where are you thinking? Are you leaning towards them? Underdog story?
um,
A company that was put together with band-aids and dreams and bounce
tough one.
checks?
They did bounce a lot of checks. Mm, I think I'm gonna go bare legal.
Okay, huge upset.
I think so.
The one seed goes down.
Yep, the 5 seed. Okay, and then our other final four matchup, the Super J Cup versus Showdown Shay,
Mm,
3 seed versus 2 seed.
mm.
And I think we all know which one we're picking here.
Which one are you thinking?
I'm going Super J Cup.
Okay, that's where I was going to. I just
I mean,
wanted to make sure.
Showdown Shay was holding its own, but if we're talking just straight wrestling, and I think with these older ones, that's what I focus more on
Yeah, because they weren't trying to
because
build like an atmosphere yet. WrestleMania
this
wasn't a
wasn't
thing.
like, yeah, you're just trying to build good wrestling cards at this point.
Stuff that people want to buy a ticket and go watch.
And I think that the Super J Cup really
All right, so we got a couple of
qualifies in there.
maybe unlikely participants here in the final two.
Yep. So we got the 3 seed 1994 Super J Cup taking on the 5 seed 1997 ECW's first pay per view, Barely Legal.
All right. So we've already established both these cards by this point. I think
Yep.
the deciding factor is going to be is the significance of it being his first pay-per-view enough to outweigh the talent on the other card?
Mm.
Because either way, I mean, Super Jacob is probably just an overall better card because of the wrestling, but is the is the significance of it being the first pay-per-view that launches ECW into the next stage, is that enough?
Ugh. So where are you going?
I'm probably leaning barely legal.
Mm. And that kind of shocked me because I was kind of leading Super J Cup.
Okay, okay, we can have a coin flip if you want.
Mostly because I think for me, Super J Cup, a lot of the talent that is established on Super J Cup
Goes to
is
barely
what
legal.
builds builds the original ECW.
That is true.
Your Benoits, your Guerreros, Malenko. They kind of ECW used that to build up their brand at the beginning of it.
Okay, okay, I can see that.
But also, I mean, that Paralegal's got a lot of. It's. I mean, it basically, if you want to watch an ECW event and want to know
What
what
does Sandman
ECW
do
is
with
all
that card?
about, he's in that triple threat number one contender
Oh,
match
right, right, right.
against Stevie and Terry Funk. And then Funk goes up against
And how
Raven.
many beers does he drink?
A whole 6 pack probably by the time he gets down to the ring. So, I don't know. That's a tough one.
We can have a coin flip if you want, because I'm
Yeah,
okay
might
either
as
way,
well.
really.
Just do a coin flip and let's see what happens.
Okay. Who do you want to be heads?
Super J Cup, probably.
Super J cut to be heads. All right, here we go. And the winner is Tails.
Oh. So the 5 seed, barely legal.
You know what? That's fitting. ECW is an underdog story, and they make it to
Mhm.
the final four. I like it.
Wins the old school region.
Congratulations.
So now they will be moving on to face. We don't know yet.
Well, at least WrestleMania.
Well, they're not going to go. They're on the other side.
I
I'm
know,
trying
but
to
the
remember
final
what
four
side
has
they're on.
WrestleMania one in there. So if they beat
So
whoever
so
they come out
now,
of the other
yeah.
side.
So we know who the two of the final four guys are. We know WrestleMania 17 won the WrestleMania region, and now we know 1997 barely legal won the old school region.
Man, it's
Yeah.
gonna be a tough final four. I can't even imagine how we're gonna get through the everything else bracket or region.
hmm So next up, we will do the WWE Big Three region, and then we will have the 21st Century region.
That big three region is gonna be so difficult because we're comparing Survivor Series to Rumbles and
Oh, I
uh,
know. There's so many different things you can look at.
if only the person who made the participants and would have chose different matchups, different cards.
Well, you can always trust the guys in charge of this stuff. They're losers.
All right, well, that one I didn't see coming for sure. I didn't think Giuseppe was gonna was gonna win that region.
No, but it's nice to know that just because we rank them doesn't mean that's how we
Yeah,
have a matchup and win. So.
it wasn't all chalk.
Now, sometimes when you go back over them and you're comparing them to, just because you rank them a certain way doesn't mean when you compare them in a
Hmm.
one setting that it um, can't always come out differently.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well, that has been the old school region of Bracket Madness, Supercard Wrestling Bracket Madness. Next up, you said was going to be the Big Three.
the WWE Big Three region.
That's going to be pretty difficult. That's got Survivor Series, Royal Rumbles, and SummerSlams all involved in it. So that is going to be
Yep.
a difficult bracket or a difficult region to try to figure out and get to the final winner of that one. But
Mhm.
we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Brothers Wrestling Podcast Bracket Madness. If you did and you're following along, maybe you got your own bracket and you're filling it out with us. That'd be awesome.
That's a good idea.
But we hope you enjoyed and leave a like, leave a comment if you agree or disagree with any of our choices for who made it out of this side of the region. And we will see you in the next episode of the Super Carter Wrestling Bracket Madness.
Peace.